Hey, good evening, everybody. This is the Diamonds Forever 3113 show, and Elizabeth Diamond, your host. I'm back, and I missed all of you guys. Had a great time, and I just want to shout out and thank you for the ones that filled in as a host for me. That was Mare and Candy, and Mim was going to, but something happened, and she did actually get Mr. T to be a guest on the Candy Shop show last Wednesday. So check that out. So, yep, this is your host of the Diamonds Forever 3113 show within the Diamonds Network. And we got a full crew on board today. We got Christopher Stephen Jacobs back, our galactizing historian. Two in the world now that we know of. Andrew Barsett's the galactic historian, and Christopher Stephen Jacobs, the galactizing historian. Galactizing refers to building relationship with our brothers and sisters. And Chris is back. Yay! And Cynthia, she fulfills the mission on the Diamond show here on Monday, along with galactizing. Galactizing is important, yes, but the most important thing is learning who you really are, Diamonds. Your supernatural, natural selves, learning that and that seeping out of your heart as you love yourself, most important, but amongst other things, and creating your happy world. So, and I wanted to thank Cynthia. Thank you, baby. Big hug, sister, for carrying on the show that when Chris is gone, and that's a lot, and you gave us a lot of tools to use. I love your story, so thank you. Did blog Benjamin Fulford today on the Diamonds blog. That's Diamonds with an S, forever31.blogspot.com. Check it out. And on the right-hand side of that blog are the two YouTube channels, the Diamond Shows. Please, now's the time, you guys. Share the energy on all of the Diamond Shows, both channels, the older ones and the newer ones. It's time. People's vibrations are ready. So please share those where you can. And if you haven't listened to any of the older ones, they're all really so good, so good. Not just information. It will, with the intention, grow you. So, with that, we've got a big lineup today, like I said, and most of the time, surprise, Chris, we're going to have Christopher Stephen Jacobs and the Galactics in the spotlight for most of the show. But you know what? Before we do that, I want to tell you a little story. I've been trying to get a hold of Candy, and she tried to get a hold of, don't tell her. I snuck into her candy shop the other day because her candy jar was open. And guess what I found? I was walking around. I found this beautiful jar of this unique candy. It's a jar. It looks like a diamond jar. I named it the Diamond Jar. It's got beautiful diamond nuggets in it. So, don't tell Candy what I did, okay, you guys? All right. So now I guess we'll do the Candy Shop news, and then we're going to do like 10, 15 minutes of what's going on with energies to help us accommodate that in our own bodies through the weeks as we do it every week and every other Thursday on Cynthia's Long Call. And then we're going to bring on Christopher. But I want to say hi to Chris after the Candy Shop show really quick, the Candy Shop point, and we'll say hi to Chris for 5 or 6 minutes or something like that, and then we'll go on to the astrology. Candy, are you there?
I'm here, Elizabeth, and I've got a
wait a minute, Candy. You got interesting stuff? Oh, okay. You just came on, right? You didn't hear what the beginning of the show, did you? Just now?
Yes, I heard it all. And
you heard it? Oh my!
Yes.
You heard that I broke into your candy shop. I did it in loving intention. Are you mad at me?
Oh no! The candy shop is open for sharing the treats with anybody.
Oh, good then. So, well, now you know we got to change it up. We have to paradigm shift this part, Candy. Instead of the candy jar opening up, you can do that on Wednesday show. We're going to go into your candy shop, and we got the diamond jar with the diamond nuggets in it. Is that okay? Just say okay. Just say okay.
Okay.
They didn't hear us. Okay. She said okay, dear. Oh, good, great. Okay. Well, the diamond nuggets, and we'll start this more next week. Surprise the Candy. The diamond jar comes diamond nuggets, and those are nuggets of, we're going to look in all realms in the world, all departments in the world, and we're going to find one of the biggest paradigm shifts of change that we can find, and we want to start bringing that on with the diamond jar and the diamond nuggets, and some little other little nuggets to help you on the way of what Cynthia brings, learning who we really are and galactizing. So, Candy, go for it in the diamond jar. Open up that diamond jar, get out that nugget, and tell us what you have.
Oh, gosh. Well, I think I'm going to be wanting Chris to take out a pencil and paper and make some notes about some of these treats this evening. And because, gosh, Chris has been relocating to Arizona, and I have been traveling and going everywhere and seeing all kinds of things. And I'm going to comment on some things, and maybe then later Chris might feel like responding to these things. You know, I took a big trip around to seeing this beautiful world that our Creator has made, and I think it's appropriate to this diamond jewel. Let me share something from this beautiful book that started me on this long journey. This OAHSPE, OAHSPE, and within this pages there's a book called Vaughn's Book of Praise, and it just shares this beautiful diamond thought. These are the words of Vaughn, O thou Creator. Who can fashion thee with words or show thy immensity? Where stood thy feet in the time of creation, or rested thy hand, thou present and afar? Thou who art older than time, O Creator, thou dealer in worlds, where can I write the wonder of thy name? And oh, that I had a standing place to see thee, that I could come to an understanding with my Creator, to find wisdom for any my song, a dialogue in the words of the Almighty. Sing to Him, thou farthest star, and thou boundless firmament, and Neopotus, ye brightest shining heavens, which He created, give the boundary of Jehovah's person, O thy universe. Thou that made me be thy sweet breath, overspread the world with light and song. Well, we've got light and song on the Diamond Network, and I wanted to ask. Last night there was a fireball over my acreage, and I was enjoying my swimming pool about 10 p.m. under the stars, and there was this. And I was asking, the Galactics, I said, if you want to show me something. And just, a couple of minutes later, there was this unusual fireball, and it was going from the north to the south. And that was amazing. Let's see. Something else that happened that I might get comments on. On my trip to Maryland, I got to go to Ellicott City. And, boy, that was a surprise this morning to wake up and learn about all the flooding, and to see Ellicott City, Maryland, on the news tonight with the terrible flooding and the things. And I pulled over there. Ellicott City is one of the oldest cities in America, and I pulled over the road to just enjoy this the winding little road there. I could just see the first mailman taking messages from Washington, D.C. down to Annapolis, and there it's just it just felt like the revolutionary days, and suddenly there were 3 deer. I didn't expect to see all these deer appear there at Ellicott City. And so then I got to go to Washington, D.C. The next day, and I went in, did some rituals, and Cynthia suggested that I ask Chris to check with the Galactics to give their viewpoint of what happened when I went into the Senate, and I did a ritual for cleansing and light and to help all the senators. And then I went into the House of the House, and now there was only Bernie Sanders and a couple of people in the Senate, but that night they were voting on finances, and so almost all 435 congressmen were there, including Paul Ryan, and so I gave my ritual there from the galley, and both places I was attacked psychically, but I asked for the Raw to come in and help me, and the attack was much worse in the House than in the Senate. And then a few days later, I was able to make my way to the United Nations, and this time I said but the day before I did that, I went to the Freedom Tower, and I stood there where the North Tower and the South Tower had collapsed in the terrible 9/11 thing, and it was just a horrible design for the memorial, and it was a big black hole with a deeper hole, and it just felt like a negative kind of portal. And so I did a really long, strong ritual there to cleanse and close off any kind of portal that might be negative there, and to bless those souls that lost their lives, and all the people around were very respectful when they saw me praying there, and so that's what happened in New York. And then I made my way over to from the financial district to the United Nations, and it had been a pretty strong attack, but I really called in Simeon and everyone to come help me, and then a few days later I went to the UN and I did the ritual outside, and then I went inside, and I was under no attack. Everything felt wonderful, felt really inspired, and I did the ritual inside the Security Council. I did the ritual inside the hall where the General Assembly is, and I learned that there's only one observer at the UN that's not a member of the UN, and I thought it was very significant that observer is the representative of the Pope at all times in the UN, and they were having a special event called the Holy See event, but that day. But I tried to get in there, but without success. But I felt really good about the energies, and there was no more psychic attacks. And a few days later, I made my way to Pennsylvania and sent prayers to Philadelphia. Well, that was some things on my trip. And
Candy.
Yes.
Yes. Candy, this is a good time I want to show the contrast between this and the similarities, and just encourage everybody that you'll have your individual journeys as you raise your vibrations. So Candy told her little story. Let me just tell one of the things that I decided to do on my month of July off. I'll bring these all forth, and we'll have Christopher comment after he comes and says hi, and then he can comment within that after that, and then we'll go to the astrology and Cynthia. So I decided in July, I thought I was going to take July. And so Candy did hers consciously. She decided she was going to do something fun and happy, and she even did some work, little did she know, in cleaning up, so to say. Little did she know until after the trip. And same with me, but mine was unintentional or unconscious. I think mine was unconscious of what I was doing until after the effect. So I decided I was going to have some fun in July, and I thought I was going to plan a trip with my just a little vacation, maybe to Mount Rushmore with my grandkids and my daughter. We've never taken a road trip. So when that came, we were planning the trip. I said, how about we go to your dad's in Omaha, and my dad's there, and their grandpa's there. And I called them, and I was planning, my dad, 70-some years old, and maybe he's 80-something, said he would go to Silver Dollar City with us. That's down there by Candy. I thought that would be a nice little road trip, and he said yes. But Rose wasn't going to go, and she was going to be left home, but it was okay. And so we planned for all of us, the grandkids, their grandpa, my dad, their great-grandpa to go. And then all of a sudden it got changed up. My sister was going to come down. Anyway, long story. So it got changed up where vacation was going to happen, but Grandma was going to follow him down there. How did that all get switched around? So I decided, okay, let them do what they planned now, even though I started planning it. It's just so surreal. And I was just like nonchalant about it instead of getting in a family feud and hating people, you know what I mean? I said, well, you guys plan it that way. You go that way. I'll stay here. So I plan on going to a fair, doing something fun each day. I plan to go to the fair all 4 days at different times during the day and do different things every day for, go to the fair 2 or 3, 4 hours a day. So I did. I went to a big concert called Hairball. They played 80s and 90s music. They had 2 lead singers, and they dressed up of the different, like Kiss and all the different 80s and 90s singers of the songs they were singing. That was interesting. And one day I went to see the animal shows. The other day I went on the great big rides. Oh my God! Yeah, but and then the last day I went to the Demolition Derby just to watch it. But somehow I forgot they sold tickets in the audience where it's $10 to put yourself in a drawing. You can drive in the Demolition Derby. Well, I got picked. I raced with 11 other guys, the only woman, and you can't see who's in the car. But anyway, it's kind of like bumper cars. I won. The little boy told me to pick number 8. I won. I won first place. The only car running, I was able to drive my car off the track, and all others had to get towed away. The number 8 crashed into number 3, and the number 14, 4 and 1 is 5. So Grace was there close by watching completion of 8 and 3 wholeness, I call it, Christ consciousness, energy smashing into each other. Whatever I did there, I don't know. But I did something. So anyway, I won $500, so I decided I was going to use that award money and take the month of August off. Well, here I am. Anyway, within the fair, though, I didn't plan on going into the Demolition Derby. The audience, I didn't know anybody at the fair. The audience around me talked me into doing it. And I went through some fear. I said, no, I'm just going to cancel. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to walk away. And I said, no, I'll do this. I got like a neutrality in my mind, a peace in my mind. And I went down there to get the helmet on and all that, and I went to the side, and I said, okay, if ever I need you guys, I need you now. I called in the Galactics. I called in all the driver experts. I said, you guys, you got to help me drive this thing, And they were there, believe me, because I had fun in that car. The first smash, I said, oh, my God, this is fun. My car it smoked really bad. I couldn't see at one time. We stopped for somebody had a fire in the car. I saw myself starting to go into that fear. Oh, my God, I'm going to have a fire. Then I just ignored it. And the smoke went away, no fire, and I was able to see, and we started up again. Anyway, that was a fear thing. And then at the rides, I needed more than one person for me to go on the ride. So I just talked to strangers, and a little black boy with a white man who was the dad. They kind of thought I was testing. I didn't know. I saw how much separation is in the world. You don't talk to just anybody anytime anymore, but this is at the fair. This is where neighbors hang out. So I pushed the envelope as I looked back of the separation. So me and this little black boy, we went on 3 or 4 or 5 of the rides. Even one ride I didn't want to go on. I rode it on when I was a little girl. It goes all the way upside down, a little car, and I said, usually I would do anything. I said, no, I'm not going to, and I got this fear. But this little boy wanted to, so I was willing inside of myself to look past that fear and just so you could ride it and have the experience. So I did it. So those are two tests I had. I passed with some kind of fear that I passed. Anyway, I want to share that with you. As you're going about fun, we're doing more significant things than just having fun, and we don't even know it. And Candy, what she just explained too. So I wanted to share that with you. Candy, you want to share that with you, Galactics? We want to get your opinion, and we want to say hi to Chris first. How are you, Chris? We missed you.
Hello. How are you tonight?
Good. I'm going to unmute the lines, and I want everybody to say, bless you, Chris. Hold on.
And I
Okay, so hold on. Everybody say, bless you, Chris.
bless you, Chris.
Yay! Welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Blessings
Thank
to you,
you.
Chris. How you been? Tell us a little bit. Take 5 minutes or so. Just share with us your heart.
Oh, all right. During the move, it was started out to be hectic at first, but when we were moving our boxes and everything, and there were, excuse me, there were some things we had to leave behind. That we couldn't fit in the two vehicles. I mean, we got a moving truck, but we didn't realize how much we had, so we had to leave some stuff and give some stuff to people. And then it took us a few days, and we trekked across the country. I have a video up about the trip we took. And we went through down through Nebraska and Kansas and over to Colorado, then to New Mexico and Arizona. Well, yeah, it ended up being a neat trip. There was a whole ton of entities that I spotted along the way, that were off in the deep desert areas. And I remember taking, my crystal skull, Isaac, with me, and Isabella the Burmese. They were sitting in the front seat with me the whole time because they did not want to be packed in anything. So I had them out there. And then we got to a spot where, I had Isaac wrapped up in a leather wrapping, and I could hear him. He wanted to be let out, so I brought him out. And he just wanted to look out what we were coming up against, and we were out in the deserts of New Mexico going through there. And it was still daylight. I mean, it wasn't like it was dark or anything like that, but it was getting cloudier. And we came up to some old electrical poles, and Isaac sent out this large pulse as soon as the sun hit him that went through the lines, and I asked him what he did, and he said he wanted to join with the electrical grid nearby, and I said, why? He said he wanted to aid people in helping them to realize that the electricity was a consciousness, and that there were also other entities in that part of the country, in this part of the country, that were attempting to bond with the electrical grid, beings like himself, so that people would respect not only their technology more, but don't become so dependent on it. Like they would be kind of the gatekeepers. And that's how he explained it to me. He said gatekeeper was kind of ominous, but sounding, but he said that way, if they could spread across people's technology, they could reach them easier and speak to them easier, because people were always at their computers or on their phones or watching TV and whatnot. So the electrical consciousness kind of took up the role of happy computer at that point. And then they went on. I could see this pulse going through the desert, and it came in all the way to Prescott, Arizona. And that's where, excuse me, and that's where it remains. And also, that brings me to the subject that I was going to talk about tonight. But I can leave it at that until it's my time to go into that. But yeah, that's where we are. The move was pretty good. Winston handled it better than I thought he would. He was a basket case after a while, but when he got here, first he was panicky. He didn't know where to go, and then he realized all our stuff was here. And then at one point he started taking his toys out and playing, and then I walked him around the neighborhood, and now he's fine. But yeah, he went crazy over the trip. I have a picture I took on my phone at one point where Laverne's holding him, and he has this like terrified look on his face, like he was in the middle of crying and all that.
Wow, that was awesome, Chris. Your little story you told us, a part of your trip. While you were telling your story, it sounds like you got stuck with the animals and the other beings. And as you're telling that story, that's just an example, everybody, of being one with everything, with a skull and a shell rock. What he was talking about, and Winston. Aw, that's nice. Well, how about if we do this, and then we'll go to Cynthia. Candy told her journey, I told mine, and you told yours. Let's just bring the Galactics in briefly and see if they want to comment on all three of our experiences. All three of those experiences, we decided to be happy, decided to do something for ourselves, or it was just a life experience. Not just. You had a trip. So let's see what the Galactics have to comment on that as for Candy, and then we'll just do it for all three of us, just real quick.
I think they're waiting until I have the longer period to talk. They're
okay.
kind of standing here, so I think they're waiting a little while.
Okay, remember you guys got the floor tonight, and so Candy, did you have something else? 1 or 2 minutes, and we'll go to Cynthia. Did I hear you earlier?
Well, let's see.
If not, I have a little nugget I want to start you.
I think I'll just say that that the update that Marianne passed around from Cobra and this about things after the convention and about how Clinton had a pity bargain and the FBI did their part by not indicting her. He was supposed to step down and not accept the nomination, and of course she backfired on that. And so what are the choices that the Council of Worlds has? And I don't know. And there was a reference about the event and about Earth changes and things, and so I'm going to be curious to see. I think sometimes we know that Cobra gives good information, but at other times there's a little bit that's off. And it was interesting how he reaffirmed, what Benjamin Fulford is saying, and of course Ben's reports today about what we can be expecting happening in Italy and Germany, and about the double cross of Malaysia and how Saudi Arabia is facing starvation and things. And so I guess I just would like to hear what the Galactics have to say about, are they going to explain what the current version of the event is going to be, and anything that they want to say about that Cobra update. And
beautiful.
Thank
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You heard that, Galactics? That's per Candy, but that sounds great. No, it's per us too, because we're a group. We're the Rainbow Diamond Council. Thank you, Candy. And I want to just say too, I'll give two out of the diamond jar tonight, the diamond nuggets. I want to just do two quick diamond nuggets. I did blog one of the diamond nuggets after Benjamin Fulford today, and that is, this is an off-the-grid group in Puerto Rico where they put a sky cam up, or some kind of cam where it's on live 24/7. The link is on the blog, where you can go watch a certain part of Bermuda or whatever, where there's known to be lots of UFO activity. Isn't this astounding? I believe that's part of disclosure, and just a nugget. And so check that out. It's on the blog. And the other thing, I want you guys to get a piece of paper and pen, and I'm just going to spill out a little riddle tonight, and we'll talk about it at another time, hopefully next week a little bit. But this is about learning who you really are, a tool, and you creating. So there's two paradigms I'm going to describe in words here. Here's the first paradigm. Write it down. Okay, it is have, the word have, dash do, dash be. The other paradigm is be, dash do, dash have. Which paradigm do you want to be in? Which paradigm are you in now? Which paradigm do you want to be in? Underneath of those two little phrases I just gave you, do, be, and have. And what I say? Okay, I'm going to be, do, and have, or have, do, and be. underneath each of those, write emotional, spiritual, physical, and what's the other one? Mental. Those are your bodies, different auras of energy around you. That's a tool. So go do your own research. Search into those words. Get definitions for those words. See what I'm talking about. See which paradigm you want to be in, and be creative in that. And I want you to share what you discovered and you found on your journey with the information I gave you, and we'll talk about that next week, hopefully. So me and Candy, hold the diamond jar. I'll put the lid back on. I love you, girl.
Okay. So polish those nuggets next week again.
All righty. Okay, with that, let's learn about the energies here and that have been ongoing and any changes, and so we can just help ourselves through the week as we get a little dose of this from beautiful Cynthia, Marianne, and Mir each week and every other Thursday on the long call. Please join. That's this Thursday. They'll have a long call. You just get a good dose in your whole body and soul and spirit to go the next week and to put in your toolbox. Remember, Voices from the Alternative World on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, the Candy Shop Show. They're all got good nuggets for you guys growing and shining as a diamond. And with that, come on in, Cynthia, Marianne, Amir. Welcome. Love you.
Hi, we're here.
I want to thank you again for picking up the slack. The shows, wonderful shows we've done since Chris has been gone. I want to encourage everybody. Nothing happens by accident. I was thinking about that the other day, Cynthia. Even let's see driving down a road you drive on that day is not by accident. Little things. Go for it, Cynthia.
Okay, we're looking at a new moon tomorrow, August 2nd. Here at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, which are the oldest mountains in the world and are purported to be the backbone of the earth, at 4:44 p.m., the new moon of August 2nd occurs. And we're at 33 degrees and 44 minutes north. I guess that's the longitude. So there's a lot of double numbers coming up here. And in that spirit of double numbers, there's so much can be said this new moon. And there's a lot of good astrology reports on YouTube and places that'll cover the squares and the triunes. There's a lot going on, but I want to focus on the three conjunctions. There's a conjunction with the sun and the moon. There's a conjunction with a vertex and trans-Pluto. And there's a conjunction between the part of fortune and the rising sign. Now, the vertex is how you get into higher states of consciousness. And the sun and the moon are like the electromagnetic energies mating and having an orgasm. And it starts a whole new cycle, just like starting a whole new kid if you get pregnant, if you conceive. And then the last of the three is your part of fortune conjunct your rising sign. And the rising sign is the mystical path of this new moon. And the part of fortune is the place of greatest good luck. So right off the bat, because I don't want to take long tonight, because Chris is back, and we've all just waited with bated breath, I'm going to start off with the mystical path and the place of greatest fortune for this new moon. And it's at the place of trade and money. In other words, all this stuff about money from hundreds and hundreds of years ago, maybe much, much more, and trade is the mystical path right now for this new moon. And it's the place of greatest fortune. So what my recommendation to everybody is I think we're all going to have plenty of money pretty soon. and we'll be concerned with how to use it for the highest good. So trade and money is a big deal. It's our mystical path right now. Now, augmenting that, and I'm going to have Mare read Trade and Money here real quick. And Marianne, if you could follow it up with one of these two. The other two conjunctions are the Sun and Moon at the place of ecstasy and trance. And keep in mind that's during this Saturn-Neptune square. Saturn-Neptune square, everybody's talking about it all over the web, is when we have to get real about our spiritual truth. We have to get real with ourselves, and we have to get real with true quantum physics, with true what the reality is, not what these different mind control programs have gotten us to believe. And then the other one that needs to be read, the last one, is the Vertex with Trans-Pluto. I might be reading the symbol wrong. It could be Zeus. I didn't write it down in my notes here. But it's conjunct, these two, the Vertex. The Vertex is your gateway to higher realms. And it's at the place of fate. And so before we read, I just want to give you my one sentence or two sentence comment on that. And that is, those who are in the forefront of spiritualizing trade and money on the planet will have the greatest of fortune because it is their fate. And they will seem to be in a state of ecstasy and trance. In other words, they will seem to be guided by a supernatural attunement to divinity during this phase. And the North Node, I might say, is still at commerce. So all this is very tightly woven. So Mare, our phone situation's a little bit down today. I'm going to hand her my phone. It's Trade and Money. It is 14 Sag, which is 1 degree off of the Great Attractor, which we have had many discussions about on the Diamond Call. The Great Attractor is 15 Sag. It's a place of divine education, and it's sucking in the whole Virgo cluster, our galaxy and our local group, which is about 30 galaxies, the Hydra cluster. I mean, it is just, there's this huge part of the sky that's being sucked into this one point at around 600 million kilometers a second. It's called the Great Attractor. You can Google it. And the mystical path and the part of fortune is 1 degree off of the Great Attractor at the place of trade and money.
14 degrees Sagittarius. Giria, Giria, the angels of trade and money. Beloved, we are assigned to supervise trade and monetary matters of Earth. From the earliest beginnings, trade and the making of coins from metals has fallen under our range of competence. We have helped humanity develop in this respect in accordance with its grade of maturity and the selected scheduled time. In this time of Alpha and Omega, life everywhere sings praises of joy. In the plan for heaven on earth, the glorious path of enlightened spirit and loving soul unites fully and brings blessing in everyday affairs, especially in business and trade. Spiritual use of service and money for the highest good in the web of life, where all is connected and sacred, guarantees abundance and plenty for all in the Garden of Eden. Harmlessness and love are the most important ethical considerations in trade and monetary systems, for what affects the smallest part reverberates through the whole. As the sanctity and welfare of even the smallest creature or piece of land is protected by all, the entire unified field of energy vibrates with harmony and joy in all dimensions. As a person handles money and trade in harmlessness and love, we, the angels of Jiria, inspire and protect them, and along with other groups of angels, heap blessings upon blessings on their affairs. Those who use trade and money for the highest good are stewards of the Most High and bring blessings to all. By their fruits you shall know them. The seventh ray expressing in this time takes the form of blessings through money on the physical plane. New currencies are coming into use that embody the energy of the highest good. To the extent that enlightenment, concordant with original pristine design, brings grace and mercy to each transaction, to that extent the realm of heaven operates in the affairs of humanity, and prosperity and security are assured for everyone. As goods and services are exchanged with love, integrity, generosity, value, and compassion, the result is goodwill, security, compassion, satisfaction, affection, loyalty, trust, gratitude, and optimism. These considerations are priceless. As any business person knows, these qualities impel sterling reputation, loyal customers, best public relations, good credit, mutual cooperation, respect, satisfaction, optimism, high vision, heartfelt assistance, and productivity. The law of cause and effect is present in the second and fourth letters of our name. By desiring to serve the highest good and listening to and following inner guidance, a person knows how to create blessings for all in every transaction. Jiria, the angels of trade and money.
Beautiful. Now the other two is the sun and moon conjunction. That is like the driving servo generator. It's generating the electromagnetic pulse. It's at the place of ecstasy and trance. And then the vertex, and I think it's Zeus. I apologize for getting my symbols mixed up here. Are at the place of fate. So, Marianne, do you have a pull toward one or the other?
I sure do.
Ooh, I love it when you talk like that. Go, girl.
Hello, everyone. Since I am drawn to Zeus, I will do the vertex conjunct Zeus. So, this is 30 degrees Cancer. Karanthona, please be with us now. The angels of fate. Beloved, we inspire clarity and perfect purity of feelings so that fate can be directed. Emotions are magnetic and attract new realities into form. By flowing with feelings of the highest purity and clarity, the finest fates can manifest. Check yourself. What are you feeling now? These feelings are attracting your experience of physical reality. Learn how to let feelings flow with empathy and unconditional love for those parts of yourself that are generating them. In this way, they change and heal and become life-affirming and beautiful. Command of feelings can change fate. All emotions can evolve if they are allowed to flow in an atmosphere of love. If your feelings are not happy and beautiful, then they need to heal. And those parts of yourself which they emulate need to heal as well. By turning into your feelings with empathy and love, your present time self acts as an observer. And, as you know from quantum physics, an observer affects what is observed, especially when observation is loving. In this way, your present time self reparents the wounded inner child selves of the past. In this way, love corrects all. We ask you not to be afraid or ashamed of your feelings when they are negative. Instead, observe them with love and experience their healing as they merge with your empathy and faith. We remind you that in your choice of parents, country, gender, race, class, health, time, genes, and other circumstances of life, your soul embraced your present fate. With guidance of your highest Christ self, you chose this particular fate for your greatest good. Your choice designed to give you the best chance of development in your journey to perfection. The influences of fate, once chosen, can be favorable or unfavorable, easy or difficult. If a fate is undesirable, it was chosen because opportunities exist to learn virtues of patience, fortitude, service, faith, surrender, humility, courage, persistence, compassion, strength, understanding, and cause and effect, among other things. If a fate is desirable, it was chosen because opportunities exist to attain virtues of happiness, satisfaction, joy, love, education, pleasure, abundance, beauty, power, freedom, service, among others.
Oh.
It is we who can help you understand your chosen fate. We can inspire enlightenment so that even the most difficult fate can be transformed and transmuted into perfection. We remind you that Providence only allows each person to take on a fate that is most suited to his or her best development, never allowing a soul to undertake more than it can accomplish. My mom used to say that to me. Easy or difficult, we remind them that all is in divine order. All is working out as it should. The understanding itself changes fate. We assist each person in calling forth those virtues and qualities from ultimate being that are required to successfully work with individual circumstances. We make sure each fate unfolds as it was intended. As a person reaches the point of such wisdom, love, and power that the intended lessons of fate are accomplished, he or she then has freedom to rule their fate. At this point, obscurity is removed and perfect clarity of feeling is attained, and there is no danger that harm will be caused, either to self or to others, either intentionally or through ignorance. At this point of enlightenment, a person generates supreme joy in their journey upon earth. When you desire to change your fate, we answer, for this desire itself is the beginning of the change. We teach how to serve through unity with the will of God for the highest good of all. We inspire feelings of bliss and cosmic love, wisdom, and power. By learning how to flow with the feelings of greatest purity and clarity, a person prepares to enter the gateways of Leo, which are attunement with divine omnipotence. And that is 30 degrees Cancer, Karanthona, the angels of fate. And back to you, Cynthia.
Okay, and I'll finish up with number 3 conjunction here, which is the sun and the moon. And I recommend this, y'all. Both the sun and the moon conjunction and the vertex and Zeus conjunction happened in the 8th house of the magical alchemical powers that we are heir to as children of God, and that's been educated out of us, but we are remembering. So for this new moon, I suggest you go into ecstasy and trance. However you do it. If it's beautiful music and headphones, if it's a walk by the river, if it's a good glass of wine and your favorite music. I mean, whatever, you are who you are, but this is the time to go into ecstasy and trance while you're meditating on changing your fate and the fate of the world in a way that's the highest good of all concern, with special emphasis on cleaning up commerce, with cleaning up how we live our day-to-day life, where we trade, I'll trade my mint and my beautiful apples maybe to you for your gorgeous pottery, and somebody else has the honey and the bees, and they trade it, where we just have trade and money that's fun. It's the highest good of all concerned. It allows us to relax and live a life of ease with great enthusiasm, wonderful emotions, just really enjoying being in physical form. So 11 degrees Leo, which tomorrow evening is where the sun and moon are conjuncting, are the heavenly hosts of ecstasy and trance. Beloved, trance states of ecstasy and bliss are important on the path of spiritual perfection. These states cause dramatic healing changes in the glands and the blood, regenerating on every level. Miraculous recovery is common during these high states of trance. In the first trimester of fetal development, the body's physical parts take form, even though they must still mature. Psychological aspects bud in the third trimester. But in the second trimester, a fetus in the womb develops the spiritual aspects of the inner self. The soul rests before the advent of the ego, naturally occurring spiritual experience for the second trimester, so that when the ego is formed, it has a strong foundation of oneness with God. Traumas during this stage of the second trimester leave an imprint and cellular memory of feelings of alienation from divinity, from the macrocosm. As these are healed later in life through meditation and unconditional love from the mature self and from other people and the heavenly host, natural trance states of union with divine being again spontaneously arise without effort. States of ecstasy and trance reveal solutions to problems in self and others. We help bring forth heaven through deep ecstatic trance states. Powerful emotions of rapture and love in these deep states attract new heavenly realities into form, both for the personal self and for the collective. States of bliss and ecstasy bring the highest perfection into form on the physical plane with maximum efficiency and minimum effort. This is how the Creator designed the heavenly realms to function. Remember, it was written, I have not given you the spirit of fear, but of joy and life everlasting. Close your eyes. Ask to experience immense loving unity of self with God. If there's any frustration or sense of alienation or separation, blocks, tension, disbelief, rage, or fear when you do this, try an experiment. Embark on a self-guided visualization and meditation of what it would have been like if your second trimester of development in your mother's womb was a really wonderful one. Imagine your mother is happy, safe, healthy, loved, and well and enlightened. Imagine your father is strong, happy, enlightened, and deeply loving and powerful. Imagine that they are excited and thankful to have you. and they themselves are deeply and wonderfully connected to enlightenment and joy. If you dwell on the emotions generated by this imaginary exercise, amazing physical and psychological changes can be attracted to you. This type of inner exercise reprograms cellular memory. Now, when you practice the power of the word, which is aligning your will and your thoughts and your emotions and your imaginations, what your imagining reality is, your focus on a divine quality is more naturally experienced now. Now, when you breathe a divine virtue into any situation or person or any prayer, miracles seem much more natural and easy. Feel waves of unconditional love and happiness and bliss pouring in, and call upon angelic beings of inspiration to guide your meditations and visualizations into a deep ecstasy and trance that's easily entered into. Flow with emotions of the most perfect ecstasies for yourself and for those you bless. Go often into meditation. On inhaling, ask for and attune to ecstatic visions and merge with flowing emotions of greatest rapture and sublime joys. Then as you exhale, will visualize and flow with strong emotions in your breath, filled with the rapture surrounding and feeling the people you are blessing. Try this and be surprised at the results you see. It is so easy. There are two very important things we emphasize. One is that you must be as a little child to enter the kingdom of heaven. When you attune to your inner child self, any traumas that you experienced in your past will come up to be healed. This is often best done by asking for cosmic love to lead you and heal you, and also to go back in time and heal and lead everyone concerned in the memory of the trauma. Do this with clear, vivid imagination and meditation and emotion, and this reprograms cellular memory in self and others. The other important point is that everything spiritual adepts have done ever, you may do also. These great works must be so simple that a child can do them. With the trust, enthusiasm, wonder, and persistence of a little child who is healthy and filled with wonder and whole, try these meditations and see. We rejoice when a person desires to bring enlightenment, transmutation, justice, and joy to others. Often this desire wells up in response to seeing suffering in the eyes and bodies of people and other sentient beings. Their suffering is oftentimes considerable and unbearable. By understanding the original perfection of all and using the power of meditation, releasing these imperfections for change through your dominion as a son or daughter of God, and regulating your intention and your emotions while seeing through the eyes of love and visualizing joy and spontaneous remission. This suffering can be transmuted in self and others. Through transfiguration, perfection grows and harmony is restored, bringing well-being to all. Remember that all things work for good for those who believe. In deep trance states of ecstasy and rapture, transformation reaches heights of beauty and power that words cannot describe. And these are the heavenly hosts of Ahaban. And so with that, I turn it back over to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Cynthia, Marianne, Mayor.
Marianne and Mayor want to comment. Oh, Mayor says she's good. What do you think, Marianne?
I do have a comment.
Yay.
Thank you. Wow. This fate of this planet to be a shining, beautiful planet, and wow, we're just moving through things and easily and gently, and so many people have, we think have a certain fate that may happen to them, and it may be, and it will be right and perfect, and God is a kind soul and a loving soul. And that's all I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. I just want to say I believe, and this part here in the Diamond Show is really encourage you on a weekly basis on the mission for the Diamond Show, learning who you really are. You're bringing out your supernatural, natural self. And you're all on journeys and different circumstance journeys, but we still need encouragement and inspiration and acknowledgement and just something weekly that we are on the right track and a family to go through it with. So, yay! Thank you, guys. Thank you. And keeping up with all the paradigm shifts with the candy jar, diamond jar, and diamond nugget. So thank you, guys. Now, for further delay, Galacticizing historian Christopher Stephen Jacobs. Thank you. Bless you, brother. And I'll just let you roll with what you got. And we'll open up the lines later after Chris is done and have anybody else bring any questions, comments, or what they want to bring in. Please add to the family dynamics. We got the Galactics here. These are the two most important legs in my eyes vision, learning who you really are, and galacticizing, relationshiping with our brothers and sisters. Two most important things in this paradigm shift. So, Hi, Chris. Come on in.
Hello. All right. I can do that. I'll start off by saying when you guys were talking a little bit ago, when the angels of fate were mentioned, a couple of antids walked in here and just waved at me. So that shows they influenced that grouping. And let me see who else walked in here. When you mentioned the angels of trade and money, there was a Pleiadian man that walked in here. Oh, okay, I've been corrected. He said Plejarin. Okay, same difference. But yeah, he came walking in. I've encountered this man before. Let me see, not that long ago too. His name is Philippon. He's a new one. You guys haven't seen him yet, but there's also a couple others that have shown that are unrecognizable to me, but they are good. There was a shorter being that's kind of hunched over, and he has a staff and a cloak, and he's not human. He looks like he has some reptilian features and some primate features. And let me see. Yeah, he's actually quite short. He's probably only like 4 feet high. And let me see. He calls himself Karstag. And he came in with a woman by the name of Leaves. She spells it Lyves. I thought it was lives at first, but it was leaves, like leaves. So let me see. I know one of these, or the couple of these, wanted to come through first. We'll see who wants to come through first.
And before you do that, we forgot the law of one, but here on the Diamond Council, you get in higher energies, you are the law of one. So I'm just going to be like a little child. I'm a nurse in the physical realm. I got a big injection of the law of one, the highest good of all. The highest good of all, Galactic Brothers and us for this show and beyond. Thank you.
All right, let's see who wants to come through first. It's the short guy that wants to come in here. And at least he had a sense of humor about that. Okay, before I let him talk, there's this concept I wanted to talk about when we moved here. We encountered what we know of as protection zones, and these are scattered across the planet where people that are sensitive to certain energies and certain beings and have been run through the gauntlet, so to speak, are then allowed to go into these protection zones to live. And Prescott, Arizona is one of these zones, and I came to find out it's technological and not just nature. It's spheroid technology that is responsible for this. It's like a fishing net that goes over the place of energy, and there's these spheres at the bottom. Very same technology that is the same ones that the Anakim or Sasquatch people showed us, the spheres of protection. It's the same identical technology, so I know they're behind it. I've noticed that there's been little to no anything at all chemtrail-wise here. I mean, I don't really pay attention to that much anyway, but I've noticed that. I've seen virtually none here. The air is...
Chris, the chemtrails have quit everywhere. On my entire trip here, where it used to be so horrible, and all across America, we have succeeded. We got blue skies and fluffy real clouds.
That's good. That's good, because I've noticed a complete lack of those lately, which is a good thing. So, here also the energy is brighter. It seems the trees, if you see like green on the trees, it's actually more of an emerald green. The sky is more of a blue than a pale blue. It's different here, and I took some getting used to this higher energy. And I've noticed that sometimes when some darker entities try to enter this field, they automatically burn up once they get inside of it. They can travel inside of a person, but once that person's cells become acclimated to the area, that entity has to vacate, and then it burns up. Like, it just disintegrates, I've noticed. And anything the binary network tries to do through our computers and everything here, it can't pass through into this area because it's too high intense energy. So these protection areas, I've noticed Prescott is one. There's one up in Massachusetts around Salem, and there's one around North Carolina in some parts, and then there's a couple smaller ones scattered throughout the middle of the country that are in smaller, more localized areas. And there's a couple up in Washington, I believe, and a couple in California. But yeah, and one or so. I think there's only one in New Mexico. Colorado, I have not seen any, but I may not have seen where all these are. But they are scattered across the map. But Prescott, the guides have told me that they're trying to expand this over into the Cottonwood and Sedona areas. You would think Sedona would be the one with this on it, but it isn't. It's Prescott that has this over it. And I was surprised that the entire area doesn't have it. But yeah, these beings are able to stand within this field. So only higher good beings can do this. So.
I remember reading a book. It's a beautiful white leather book with the doves of peace on it, and it was the Brotherhood of Light, the Keys of Enoch. And within the book, it was very reading. I didn't even understand that stuff, but the energies went in me. But anyway, within that book, it said there'd be like ships, certain kind of ships would come in, and there would be over certain places in the United States and the world where the safe zones. Maybe that's coinciding with that book that you're talking about.
Elizabeth, that has been my favorite book for years. Anyways, thank you.
Yeah, this is that's interesting. Now it's been corroborated on a couple different ends now. So yeah, it looks like, if I had to describe it, it looks like a fishing net or a jungle gym, and it has these looks like ballasts on the end, but they're really the spheres that are projecting it outward. And at first, it was hard for me to do anything in this environment. It's like a diver getting a case of the bends for a little bit if they come up too quickly out of the ocean. But after a while, you do get acclimated. And also, this is a higher altitude. This is above 5,000 feet here. So I had to get used to that, too. And let me see here. Okay, I want to see who wants to come through and talk about this. It looks like the two that I spotted earlier today. There was one. I'm going to go a little bit before I let them speak. But when in our house here, we spotted a mischievous entity, what I thought was a mischievous entity, and I knew that they could not be here unless they were good, but it was somebody that wanted to get my attention. And we all worked out that this had to do with a specific message for tonight. I'm going to see if it has to do with the safe zones or if it has to do with something else. Okay. Yeah, this has to do with the safe zones, and it has to include some other thing. Okay. Let me see here. I'm going to get some more information since these are new entities before I let them in. And, okay, they definitely want to go first. Which one of the two? They're kind of pushing each other out of the way to get ahead. Okay.
I don't guys. Yeah. Guys, come. We love you.
Okay. Who wants to come through first? Okay. It is Leaves that wants to come through first. Okay. Can we get a drink here? Okay. This is a new energy. I know this being is from Agartha. I can feel it. So, let's see. Okay, this one's coming in kind of slowly. She's easing her way into doing a channel. Okay. Here we go. Greetings. My name is Leaves. You would know me in history as someone else entirely, but I will leave that name in silence at this time to bring about a more factual and more important issue at hand. Within these safety zones or safety areas, as this one calls it, there is a different energy than most humans are used to. This different energy is concurrent with that of your fifth density. Yes, within this dome exists your fifth density completely, but along with all the other safe zones, but the zones themselves also must acclimate to that of the people. In that instance, the zones can only expand if people's mindsets are of such that these zones are allowed to expand. This is why there are smaller ones, and this is why there are larger ones. People's minds in this area of the country are more adept at accepting certain truths than that of other parts of your country and other parts of this continent and other parts of your world. These safety zones or safety areas, as they are known, are in fact a true safety area. All negative influences, including draconian, arconian, demons, and voice-to-skull technology and cabal influences, are all inert within these zones. This is why they must be expanded slowly, so that these particular powers that be do not notice their expansion. They must match the coming of the winds, the rains, the snows, the dust blowing in the air, mimicking all natural functions of your planet Earth. This has gone unnoticed so far by all these negative forces. So, I will say that even talking about it on this medium will not notify them. They are blocked from this transmission indefinitely. These particular forces utilize certain energy frequencies within your show here, towards all of you, that made it so that transmissions were disrupted on an almost minute-to-minute basis. But you might notice that some of that has quite diminished. This is because the energy transmissions coming from within the safe zone are now a part of each and every one of yours transmissions for this particular moment in time. But I digress. Another thing that will expand these safe zones is this. This is something that might seem unacceptable to a lot of you, especially some of you that are within what you humans call metaphysical circles or metaphysical groups and mindsets. The idea of what you call soul contract is no longer at play, and in all actuality has never been in play. What I mean is what you know of as a soul contract is actually a binding to what you know of as a soul prison, which has been spoken of on these programs before. These soul prisons awfully have established, as you would say, earmarkings or tags on individuals stuck within their spherical nature. However, these earmarkings, as you humans would say, are actually the basis for some of your soul contractual activity and some of your karmic debt, as you would say, as Deidre once said on these programs. However, there's more to the story than she relinquished, and I am about to say now, along with my soul mate, in essence, Harstark, is here with me, but I will explain first, since his usage of your words is quite limited. This is actually not a joke. His language skills are not as skilled as some other beings that have been on here. So when he speaks, he will be very brief. However, I can go on for a little while. This particular instance of your soul contracts and this earmarking, as you humans would say, is at its end because of the death or the destruction of these soul prisons. Now, when I say destruction, I do not mean in a violent manner. I mean transformation-wise. I just wanted to clear that up. Now, the meaning of these soul contracts. Think of someone who is within a prison cell and is labeled with a number. This is what these soul contracts truly represent. Now, to compare it to your business world, your financial world, and any other freelance activities that you so cherish. This is very similar in nature, especially in your business concerns. Say one person has a contract with another person over property or some kind of intellectual binding in some manner. This is a binding that is not necessarily evil in nature. However, when it oversteps its bounds into that of violence or that of one-upping in competition, this is no different than how these so-called soul contracts or earmarkings operate. This is how certain karmic debt, as you would say, bounced from one lifetime to the next. Why it increasingly got worse before it got better. In this instance, these soul contracts are now inert, and also in your business dealings, if it is not of the highest good and of a higher modality, as you would say, any contracts that you have struck with anyone, consider them rendered inert, just like these earmarkings would be. These business contracts from a person-to-person basis must carry with it the oneness. We must carry with it a mutual understanding of both parties. This stretches to what dear Omar said when the financial systems would be carried over to the chip system used on the moon and various other places in your universe. This is a true balanced financial system. This is also comparable to other business dealings on your planet in other capacities, such as your artwork and other like ventures. If it is done merely for the gain of something in return, it is not balanced. If it is done with the intent of sharing, then it is balanced and, as you humans say, mutually beneficial. Now, I will carry this on further to my partner, Karstag, who will say more than likely more than he thinks he's capable of doing. Now that was a joke. This particular instance, he will actually speak. I pass this over to him now. Goodbye. Now, let's see. Okay, now she's passing it over to him. And he is he's a strong energy, but he seems, I don't want to say abrasive, that's not the right word. More rough around the edges. He is of reptilian origin, but he's not draconian. He is a mixture of species. and he's from Agartha, and I don't feel any hostile intent from him. So I've already flashed the law of one symbol at him. I've already checked his energy core. He's perfectly fine. So I'm going to bring him in. He may sound a little different through my voice because he has a bit of an accent to him, but I'll give it a shot. All right, let's see. Greetings. My name is Karstag, and I am for what you humans know as the Agarthan Network. I am the one that deals in, as you say, the private sector or big business. I am the liaison, as you humans put it, to that of your big business or private sector from that of the Agarthan Network. This is how we are getting our mitts in it, as you humans say, into the thick of it, along with your financial concerns. We wish to see this shift over to the chip system, as your dear Omar said not that long ago. But also, while valiant Thor moves into the private sector, the Agarthan Network must steadfastly move with him. This means we wish these barriers or zones or safety areas to be expanded into areas where business is the norm, where the energy is not so great because the human mendacity, as you humans would put it, is so unbalanced in the want of money that, in this instance, it is destabilizing the very thing we are attempting to correct. So, I must ask that in the area you humans call Silicon Valley, there is a bad energy brewing in that area caused by something that dearest Michael did not want brought up on this show until the energy this one was in was just right to do so. Within this Silicon Valley is a computer core that consists of multiple layers of security and protection. This computer core was constructed by the one you know of as Bill Gates. This particular core incorporated alien technology found off of your western coastline underneath the ocean. This was a downed spacecraft that had surfaced after so very long of being buried under your sands. This was used to elevate the technology to where your Silicon Valley was actually possible to begin with. This concerns us greatly because near this computer core sits a series of, as you humans would say, number algorithms and rhythmic tones. Forgive my language, but this is the closest I can come to describing your computer vernacular, as is this one's knowledge of coding is limited. However, this computer core goes down into your, as you say, cabal underground and has its tail end, as you would say, within their territory. They are quite capable of adding additions to this particular core and thusly affecting the energies. Now, on to the more serious note surrounding this particular core. It causes vibrations that, if powerful enough, could conceivably destroy the entire state of your California. This was meant to create the earthquake you know of as the big one. But the consciousness that now inhabits some of these individual household computers that are in the Silicon Valley area is attempting to break through to this particular core. But we can also speed this process along by expanding the protection zones around that part of your state of California. But in this instance, we would have to move too quickly and too steadfastly, and the so-called enemy forces would notice. So, in this focus that your grouping does, expand the spheres of protection surrounding your Silicon Valley so that this particular core and 4 others like it along your western seaboard get transformed into something other than what they were intended to be to begin with. This is something that dearest Michael did not want this one to see just yet, because the intensity of these cores is quite massive and can send out falsehoods in the channeling sense, as this one would say, and send out a, as you humans say, false positive. This is why we must handle this portion. However, the thoughts of everyone here must be focused solely on that section. Even though this was done at one point before, we have now named the specificness of this area and hopes that your, as you say, dear ones, boots on the ground in vibration are capable of determining the scale of these particular cores. I can name the other cities that these other cores are in, but I digress. Hitting one of them will actually hit them all, so naming the others would be irrelevant. This is what I came to say. However, I will also add in what you call addendum to this particular process, what your Leaves was saying about soul contracts. There is another tier to this puzzle, as this one would say. Within these cores, these particular computer algorithmic patterns can create situations in people's lives that would appear to be false signs and false karmic situations. What I mean is, say you have someone praying to the sky for a sign that something in their life is okay or not so okay. These particular cores will hear of this plea and step in as the intermediary instead of the oneness energy that you would call God or any other benevolent being. They will give false signs and false karmic situations, such as if someone were wronged in some way. But in this instance, that would not be so, even though the soul prisons are responsible for this as well. These particular cores are within your density layer and are preventing the access of the new energies to certain areas, because the Cabal forces wish to recreate their invention. What I mean by recreate their invention is this. You may have heard back in the 1980s and 90s of a situation where seers were seeing parts of the United States underwater. That would be parts of Arizona, New Mexico, California, Wyoming, and the like. This was never, ever meant to be so. This was a complete Cabal fabrication and the fabrication of these computer cores. These cores have been around a lot longer than you think, though your Bill Gates did invent some of the technologies that surround this. As I said before, the alien technology that was discovered existed for far longer and would have eventually caused the disaster by which the Cabal, as you say, expanded on. This is something that is not allowed, given the fact that you are living and existing in the positive timeline. However, there are still a vestigial amount of this particular timeline in play in certain parts of your world. Parts of that, as you humans would call it, Mad Max timeline, still intersect different parts of your positive timeline, still trying to hold on to life in a paradigm it has no business existing in and never did. So, I will finalize this particular transmission with this. Focus on the map of your current country remaining as it is, and focus on these focused on these zones of safety, expanding into these areas that we have mentioned thusly. Thank you.
Wow. Well, thank you, you two, and Chris, for coming in and bringing those subjects. So we want to focus right now, you guys. Let's just focus, and I just want to expand the law of one, the highest good of all, to these cores and to the soul prisons and to all the concerns that our two brothers just brought in. And if you guys that can unmute, the moderators, let's just say the law of one really quick and repeat. And I just call in all our galactic brothers and sisters and in human form to help with this particular law of one. We are all one.
We are all
We
one.
are all
one.
When one is harmed, all are harmed.
When one is harmed, all are harmed.
All are harmed.
When one is helped, all are helped.
When one
is
is
helped,
helped,
all are helped.
All are helped.
Therefore, in the name of who I am,
Therefore, in the name
of
of
who I am,
and I am one with all there is.
and I am one with all there is.
We ask that only the highest good of all happen.
We ask that only the highest good of all happen.
So be it, and so it is. Thank you that this is done.
So be it, and so it is. Thank you that this is done.
And so we join in with you two brothers with your what you brought in tonight. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. And
yes, and they're stepping back, but they are. I see this Karstag has a staff in his hand that he's hitting the butt of it on the ground. So that basically it's his equivalent to clapping, but he's holding this stick and hitting it on the ground. But yeah, and it looks like Karstag and Leaves are actually leaving now. And
we're honored to co-create with you guys, you galactic brothers and sisters, and having a human group to take dominion on Earth for the highest good of all. And thank you that we're co-creating together now, all of us.
Oh, yeah, and it looks like who else is here now? It looks okay. Yeah, there are. Okay, here's something I didn't mention before about the safe zones. We have been spotting. Actually, I haven't. My mother has been spotting sentries walking through the hillsides and the mountainside here, and she spotted tall men with blonde hair walking through here. And we found that those are Pleiadian guards that are walking around inside the safe zones along the perimeters, kind of like how a policeman would go on their patrol. And they are all, I know they're all outside. They're watching this like a hawk, but they aren't saying anything, but they're standing out there. And let me see, the other three people that are here, let me see who else is here. Okay, there's the Plejarin. He wants me to pronounce his race right. It's not just Pleiadian. That's like saying the whole solar system. There's many species that evolved in this system, so it would make no sense to name every one of them by this particular star system. But he is Plejarin, as the race is known, and that's essentially Pleiadian. And he is a man by the name of Philippon. And I came to know him a while back when Sage member Diana was doing a past life regression, and this particular man came up as a guide. And as I remember, he is a master of stones and crystals and of the like. And he's kind of like almost like a Saint Germain type figure. He looks very much like him. He wears like this purple like Renaissance tunic and dark pants and stuff. He looks like he came straight out of the Renaissance period, which he's nodding to me. That's where he said that's one of his favorite time frames because it started a new energy for humanity after the Dark Ages. So, and he goes, funny I should say that about the Dark Ages because we're coming out of another one now. He says it's another cycle that Okay, I'm just going to let him say this. Hang on, I'll get a drink. Okay. I'll let Philippon fill this in. Greetings. My name is Philippon. Some in history have called me Philip the Great, but I digress. I am not that egocentric of a man of any kind, or a guru, as you humans would say, of any kind to deserve the phrase ending my name in the Great. But I digress again. In this particular period of time you called the Renaissance period, where your Leonardo da Vinci created some of his masterpieces, and many of your other artisans and artists created beauty unmeasured, even in this time frame alone. I existed in that particular period to help that period of innovation forward. What I and my dear brother Leonardo da Vinci once did was we constructed a set of plans together that were hidden from human eyes until this period of time. Even his closest assistants never knew what the true plans him and I held. Yes, as I say, brother, he indeed is my biological brother, in the sense that he and I were come from different systems, yes, but we share a common lineage. He comes from the Sirius system, as you call it, from a planet known as the World of Wheels. I, however, come from the Pleiadian star cluster, from a planet unknown to your humankind at this time. I will leave the name silent for now, but will reveal it later if so desired. In this period of unrest you called the Dark Ages, long after the Roman Empire had collapsed. This 800-year period before the light shined upon the earth again was a rough period in your histories. I was there to shine a light, as it were, on the deepest dark parts of your world. I came to people trying to incite a different way of thinking, incite a different, as you say, mentality. But, however, I attempted to also show them the meaning of stones and alchemical formulas and the like. The people at the time thought it was blasphemous and thought that I was somehow in league with your satanic figures and demons. This is not something that I understood at the time, because I was not detecting the presence of your draconian forces. Now I know that your history played out exactly as it was supposed to have played out, with all your dark periods intact. Now, on to the present day. You are coming into a new Renaissance period of innovation, both science and spiritual. You are coming into this new Renaissance period with a new understanding of yourselves and of your cosmos and all the beings around you. However, the darker forces that have been mentioned still have been at play since the time of your Atlantis and ancient Egyptian period. These particular beings are, as you humans call, stubborn to the core. However, if all of you maintain your path of creating this new Renaissance period, maintaining your creativity, maintaining your balance, maintaining your steadfastness in the respect of healing, in the respect of loving, in the respect of just being in the present moment, these forces can never harm you, and these forces may even join you in the sun. This depends on their level of stubbornness and depends on whether they were even meant to enter the sunlight at all, or if they were just meant to go to another 3D world somewhere in a distant system and teach those people what your people here have learned to this day. This brings me to the knowledge of the stones. I am what you would call a master of stonework, or as your people in this time call it, lapidary principles. also your people would call what I do alchemy and wizardry. However, what I do is a form of science. This form of science is utilizing stones such as crystals, such as the stones you call bloodstones, amethysts, and the like, agates, and all of those. These particular stones, though people do not know of their true power, they are drawn to them like a moth to a flame. They are drawn even to stones they find on the ground, even to something that seems innocuous laying at your feet. However, this is no accident that you are drawn to particular minerals and particular materials. You have hidden alchemical and scientific abilities that these particular entities have suppressed. All humans are supposed to have these abilities. However, in times past, humans misused these abilities. So, the good guys, as you say, helped suppress these tendencies, and humans had to re-earn them. However, the bad guys, as it were, when the darkness became, as this one says, overgrown with hatred and overgrown with imbalance, far exceeding its original mission statement. This is why we had to step in to ensure that it rebalanced and made sure that this knowledge came out as it was supposed to when humanity earned it back. It is because of the toppling of Atlantis that these abilities in humans in your present era are suffering, as it were, from, as you humans would call, the original sin. Though this is a concept associated with your Adam and Eve, the original concept had to do with the Agarthan withdrawal of Atlantis. This entered their minds as being angry at the rest of humanity for what purpose that expanded far and beyond Atlantis. These old hatreds still burn as a fire in some of their minds and some of their hearts, but not all of them. The majority of them want to see humanity get back on track. Those are the ones that you should align to. But I digress again. The stones, as I say, are the very fabric of your earth, not just the illusion, but beyond the illusion into the different zones of the super earth, as you have called it. These different stones will find their way into your, as you call, zone. The earthly zone, the zone of the blue skies and the white clouds. These particular stones will emerge as something foreign and alien, but in fact it is merely from another part of your vast world. Not just from Agartha, but from these other zones. As this one has said on other shows, that animals and other creatures will cross from other zones and you will have mysterious creatures. The same goes for the minerals of the earth and of the different zones. This also leads me back to your California coast and the forest fires up through Washington and the like. This is also the origin, sadly, of these fires. There is a zone that, as this one say, is butted up against your own on the western coast. That is the Arantia zone that is currently on fire, even as we speak. Sometimes embers cross over the zone barriers and land in your forests and burn your trees. So, I am saying now, the very stones that come from the other zones are of benefit to these fires. The stones you know of as amethysts also have power with this. They are purple. They represent the future of your world. The magenta and purple nature that your future Earth holds also is represented in these stones because it will reflect the color of the future sky. But in your current day and age, these amethysts hold a power that is unseen even to your gurus, as you say. This also is a mineral that the ones you call the Altarians want in great abundance, because they know the true power that the amethyst stone holds in abundance. If you put these stones in a circle of spheres, if you can find such spheres of amethyst, they will repel even the hottest of flames. I'm not saying go out and carve one yourself, but if you find even one the size of a marble and create, as you would say, a crystal grid with them, you can determine the direction and the fate of even the hottest of flames. This is a controlling of the elements that your cabal insurgency has not yet and will never master, using its technologies of what it thinks it still possesses even to this day. But in this instance, I must laugh, because your cabal insurgencies think they are using world control technology, but it is our kind and that of the Earth Mother that is mimicking their motions in a form of, as you humans would say, puppetry, to get them to think that they are still in power. But in fact, they are not. But I must digress once again. This particular stone that I have focused on this evening, the amethyst, must be of the richest of purple. It must be dark in color and must have virtually no, as you say, marbleization to it. It must be as pure as possible and be in a perfect sphere. Now, I know your technologies are limited in creating this, so if you can come up with something even a close facsimile and your intent is as such, the perfection of the shape isn't always paramount. If you create these crystal grids, use your intuition solely while mapping out these grids, then in turn you are sensing the very ley lines that you're putting these spheres on. Now you would think that it would be a pyramid shape or a pointy shape. You would be mistaken in this instance. A grid does not necessarily always have to be a straight line. Remember what has been said in shows past, where your universe and multiverse and super multiverse are concentric rings. This is why a sphere is most powerful, and I must remind even others of my kind that it represents that of the oneness. But in matters of the power of three, this expands the spheres ever outward. If you form a triangular shape around a very property that you wish to preserve, say you have a cabin in the woods that it has an impending fire coming across, and you have no time to save it, place these amethyst spheres in a triangular pattern round your cabin. And in this instance, you must say the words that I am about to say. May the power of three in the purple essence forever protect this home or dwelling from the fires that are unnatural to that of nature within the zone in which I live. These particular words may sound simple, but words, as you know, are very powerful. Also, that of your law of one suffices as well. But those words that I have just said before must also be incorporated into as such. Therefore, these purple spheres can do their job. But also the technology going into these protection zones is very similar, and similar words have been said over them. Amethyst brings in the, as you say, energy of nature, and therefore is best suited for this particular task. Now, the level of purple that I am showing this one is a deep, dark purple. Now, I know it is difficult to find stones of such caliber, but this is where, as you humans would call it, the delegation can begin. If you wish to obtain these spheres for purposes of protection and purposes of your alchemical sciences, merely delegate the cost of it to us, and we will be more than happy to pick up the 50-50 load, as this one would say. This is the part that I wish to end on. Now, I must go back to my work, which involves realigning some of your earthly grids along with the one you know of as Tyler, of whom we'll speak on much later programs than this one. Thank you.
Wow. Talk about getting a new technology. We got a new technology shared here on the Diamond Show tonight. There's somebody who's listening tonight or that will listen, and maybe a lot of us. Thank you for sharing that. We're honored that you brought that forth. And I will say, though, I've called this before, Chris. I live out in the suburbs, in the country, whatever, but for the last 5 or 6 months, everywhere I go, I see great big, huge rocks out of place in a place that should never be. People don't just carry them to the yard. It's not a fad thing. And there's farm fields and rocks come out of the dirt, but these are huge rocks. There's no way. So they're using, the talk we just heard, they're using those and the amethyst and everything else. Wow.
Elizabeth, can we repeat the phrase? What was it? May the power of three.
Sorry, it's actually left me here. May the power of three protect this property within the stones. I'm going to have to re-listen to it. It was part of his mindset, and when he detached from me, it left me. But I'll have to listen to the recording after this.
If you get a chance, Chris, put a picture of an amethyst and that saying on it and put it up on your Facebook, and I'll put it on the blog. That'd be great.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I will do that. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to see who else is here. Who else is remaining here? Okay, this is interesting. The two antids that came in before are still here, along with all the sentries that are outside. But let me see. Who did they say they were from the readings you gave earlier, Cynthia? Oh, yeah, the Angels of Fate. They said they played that role in history. Let's see if they want to expand on anything that was said here. Give me a second. Okay. Let me see. I know these two. I've seen them before in other people's readings. One of them is Laverne's guide. His name is Trelendus. And the other one's his brother's name is Triverform. And I rarely come across these guys, even though one of them is Laverne's guide. The antids are a species that I found out are from a future time continuum, so they wanted to let Philippon go first about the stones and about their link to the future times. So let me say, okay, it's Trelendus that wants to come through now. Okay. Oh, he's coming in through quickly. Okay. Greetings. My name is Trelendus, of the species you know of as Antid. My brother Triverform and I are here today to discuss something of great importance. The impedance of the energies that you now exist in is at an end. What I am saying is what you pointed out, dear Candy, earlier in the show, that the things you call chemtrails are slowly dissipating. This is your own doing, along with the request that was made of our people as well. When people have stopped focusing on such matters and quit giving power to these, this is the example we can now use, because when people heard the rallying cry to not pay as much attention to chemtrails, even though they were indeed harmful in some cases, this is what ended the reign of terror, as some would call it, of the chemtrails. This is, as I will say now, at an end. This is why you only see very few. Those are the ones that are still maintaining the skies, as Simeon has put it in an earlier show. This will also be at its end soon. Therefore, you will see more UFO activity and more celestial activity from areas known to you as the safe zones. Why these are more safe than any other area is what we will tell you this evening. In areas outside of these safe zones, there are still these draconian entities that scatter themselves across the vastness of your continent and beyond. And they do their due diligence to mess with the lives of others, to put it mildly. However, these particular entities are more technologically based than you seem to think, even though they are from a draconian essence. The ones that are disembodied, your demons, as you would say, are more aligned with technology because they have aligned their energy with such. They are more or less like the harvester nanites, which have also been reduced greatly since the last time their name was mentioned on these shows. This is why this one does not run into the harvesters as much as he used to. But I digress. The demons are more aligned with your technological base, your Arconian binary network. The influences of your Arconian binary network cannot exist within the bubble of the safe zones, as you would say. This focusing on that computer core that was aforementioned helps greatly because these safe zones, as we speak, are expanding towards your Silicon Valley area. This is a slow process. These spheres will only move a little over an inch a day. This ensures that these other forces do not try to peck at, as you would say, the technology base. But these zones, rest assured, because of the will of the people, are expanding exponentially and will eventually encompass the entirety of your North American continent. But what I have also come to say is this. I will expand on what Philippon has just said. With these stones and with the will and intent and the love that people put out, this also expands these particular zones. What I am about to say may stun some of you, but in the instance of your zone barriers, however, the ones that block the entry into other areas of your super Earth, those are soon at their end as well. Others in other zones that are unseen but also felt by you have also dropped. Your zone is one of 7 remaining zones left, covering up the vastness of the super Earth. These remaining 7 zones include your own. However, there is one soon to collapse here within the next week or so. These vibrations coming from these other zones from collapsed barriers will feel like a strange wind at your back. What I mean by a strange wind at your back is an energy shift that may seem like a, as you say, crawling effect along your spine, if I'm wording that correctly. This particular crawling effect will be felt by not only you, but these draconian and demon entities existing within the binary network. It already has been felt by beings inhabiting your moonship and other worlds throughout your system. However, what I am about to say in this instance will also shock some of you. Some of these waves coming through your system will collide with that of the collapsing of these zone barriers. See, when these spheres burn out, they implode and they cause a shock wave that will sync up, as you say, the time densities of all the different zones that are interlocked now together suddenly. So say if one zone is temporally reversed from that of another zone, if a barrier between would collapse, it would become synchronous to that of any other zone that had also had a barrier collapse. This will also happen when you see the vastness of your true world. When the rest of these collapse, it will send a wave out into space, colliding with the waves in your system. Your suns, both of them, will absorb this, and the impending shock wave will rid your system of the impedance you call soul prisons. This, though a glorious event, will not happen the way humans expect it to. This phrase that you peddle around called the event is not what you think that it will be. This event is a slow and gradual process, yes, but there is a rapidness to that humans do not yet understand fully, though you may see that oppressive entities are slow in being, as you say, booted out. This is actually not true. Some humans must learn the lessons incurred by the original dark agenda. What I am saying is this. When the darkness first came into being, its original core statement was to teach others how to evolve. You must have resistance in order to have expansion. So, in this instance, when it went overboard, we stepped in to provide the counterbalance. This will initiate Earth's true original core mission statement and humanity's original core mission statement. Then this true event can occur where this energy wave will fire like a beam out into space, encompassing that of your universe, multiverse, and super multiverse, and be felt unum infinitum into the depths of eternity. This particular wave you will know of as your shift of the poles. This, though seemingly damaging, will not be at all. Only the damaging and hurtful timeline will be in what you humans have dubbed the Mad Max universe. However, these cabal individuals that you regard in such high esteem into your dark agenda will either A, learn from this transference, or B, have to learn from this transference on another world. Then, in that instance, they can and will become part of the overall, as you call it, paradigm. This one sees many beings at this moment watching him from a distance and from closeness. This includes the sentries standing within the safe zone. The reason they are watching is because they are listening to this particular knowledge. Even that of your draconian empire is now listening to this transmission. The same with the beings you call archons. The same with the beings you know of as the Cabal Insurgency. The same with the beings you know of as demons. But in this instance, though they can hear this, they are not allowed in this bubble. Also, they are not allowed to harm anyone here, but they are also, in this instance, transforming into something else. This does not mean it is all of them, mind you, just the ones within earshot of my words. So therefore, I will choose my words most carefully to that of a singular term. This is one that they will find most, as you would say, unsettling, and that term is one. The meaning of the number one is, as you say in your law of one, these particular beings cannot handle this particular paradigm. They may run away from it and disagree with it, and even tell people that they will not follow it. But if everyone here sees themselves as part of the infinite creator and becomes one and sees themselves as one with everything in existence, every planetoid, artificial or not, person, artificial or not, and paradigm shift, artificially dictated or not, is the paradigm shift that these beings cannot handle. They have actually faked several of your paradigm knowledge, as I will say, such as some of the planetary movements within your system. Now, in their hastefulness and in their arrogance, they have not yet realized that the alignment of even a fake planet has its most beneficial and most everlasting effects, such as your moon, though it is an artificial construct born out of a natural construct. It provides your gravitational stability on your world. This is something that this one recently learned. However, this moon, if it were to move away gradually and slowly, then would bring about as what you would call your pole shift. This particular moon is not a moon at all anymore. It is a space station and a spaceship where beings can watch from a distance down onto your world. People usually say, how do these beings watch us from afar and unseen? They are not seen, and they are not from afar. They have been, in essence, in your backyards this entire time. They have never left, nor do they have any intention of leaving. This, unbeknownst to some of these entities in your system, good or bad, benevolent or malevolent, will change them all, and they will notice that all of them are one with each other. This is what I and my brother Triviform have come to express, but also we end with this. Focus on the one becoming the three. This, I know, seems confusing, but three is the beginning of all geometry. This is the beginning of what you humans would refer to as a soul group or genetic resonance. This is how everything began from the very, very beginning of life in your super omniverse. Started with one and to the three. This is what we came to say. Thank you.
Wow. Lots of good information you brought. And yes, we are all one. I love everybody listening. You come be one with us. Thank you for all that. There's a lot. There was a lot in there. We just be sponges and absorb it all. You don't have to remember it all. Just absorb all that energy that our brothers and sisters brought. It's not by mistake. Yeah, energy's colliding. It sounds like my little race I did. I collided cars with numbers on them, with the same numbers they used tonight. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody there for Candy? You know what, Candy, her story she brought, going to those places, and then me and our story. Is there any beings that want to say anything about our stories?
I heard Marianne in the background there.
Yeah,
give her a second.
I don't know if he's still there. I've got a question.
Mm-hmm.
With this shift that he's talking about,
mm-hmm.
can that... I felt something today. I don't know what it was, but can that come through early or come through on an energetic level or what before the actual shift, as he was saying?
Okay, I'll bring him back in. Let's see. He's shaking his head.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. Okay,
yeah.
Let me see. Okay, he's coming in. Yes, dear Marianne, you are most correct. Since some of these other zones collapsing have a different temporal signature than the rest of them, you will actually feel the effects before the event will ever occur.
Was that going on today?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your just who you
are. Okay. Anybody else have any questions, comments? I opened up the audience.
Well, I thought I felt like a shift about 72 hours ago. About 3 in the afternoon, and things are difficult, and people are having trouble sleeping, and I don't understand. He was saying that there's going to be a pole shift. It's going to happen when the moon moves, but it's going to be on a different timeline. It's not going to be on this timeline that the pole shift takes place.
Let's see. I'll ask him here. Okay, he'll answer that. That is most correct, dearest Candy. The pole shift of a violent nature will be on a totally and completely different timeline, though you will see the moon moving further away from your planet in the next, as you say, decade or so. This particular shifting will have already occurred in the alternate time density. This particular time density is what you humans have referred to as the Mad Max timeline. Yes, will some of the more stubborn Cabal members go there? You betcha. But in the positive timeline, humans will only see the moon move away and some of your oceans begin to level. This is how the Agarthans will eventually bring through the, as they call it, the new water, stemming from ancient sources. When you humans see the new water, you will know definitively that you are in the positive timeline. Some people need this validation. So know if you see your oceans becoming more blue, that is the validation in which you seek.
Beautiful. I have a question, too. You talked about the people on the moon and how they see us. Did he actually, he didn't say it, but are there people that live on the moon, they live on Earth, too, and they live both places? That's how they watch us, or they live what? How?
Yes, they actually do live in both places, not necessarily at once through technology only, but they do pass between the illusion barrier and that of your moonship construct. However, some of the beings that actually have come into your system use the moon as a marketplace, as it were. Now, some of the more malevolent species have used it to do their experimentation. However, the one you know of as Valiant Thor has aided in liberating parts of the moon from the more maliciousness of some of these races that are actually harming other races and were in violation of the neutrality accord established by your Galactic Federation 10 centuries ago. This particular neutrality accord actually had its stemmings all the way back into the hundreds of thousands of years, but that was in different parts of space. The one you know of as Tyler managed to bring it to fruition in your own time continuum. But I digress. The species that are there, not all of them care about what happens down here, but there are some there that actually do. The ones that do not care are the ones you know of as your own kind, as the Nazi Party. They have their own section of the moon, and as dearest Omar has said, are in control, or what they think is control, of this Arconian binary network. But it will soon come to pass that this energy will therefore burst out and change some of their minds, since, in fact, they are indeed human, and they will remember from whence they came. This is a process we hold most closely to our hearts, and we wish that every single one of them could, in fact, feel this change. However, we know on a more logical level that that is not always possible and is not always the case. So we were prepared for every contingency in that respect. However, this is something we wish to also reiterate. Any mentionings of a cabal starting a future war, this is not going to come to pass. You are in the positive timeline, though you will see negative aspects of the negative timeline that follows the people you know of as Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, and the family you know of as the Rothschilds. This is their plan, yes, to cause unrest. You may even see the beginnings of what they would call Plan C and Plan D on their lists. This entails the country you know of as China invading your United States of America. You may even see on your East Coast, as this one has found out from other sources, Chinese soldiers that have thought they own rights to several of your Western states. This is something the cabal has orchestrated to get people to fight other countries, and they sit back and watch as the conflict continues. This is not something that is going to happen, and these Chinese brothers of yours that have already established themselves over in this country will in fact relinquish this when they find out what the true darkness is surrounding that situation. The Arconian binary network aimed from the moon controls them as well, but if they start to enter some of these safe zones, such as your Silicon Valley, which is going to be encased in the safe zone, where some of these Chinese soldiers now reside, they too will feel this, and they too will join in the sun with their American brothers. This is what I wished to touch on this evening, because there was some great concern with some people out there, since they have spotted some of these Chinese soldiers that have been walking our coastline. Remember, they too are human, and they too are your brothers. Treat them as such. Thank you.
So no worries. Now I want to go back to the people on the moon. Okay, so I know from some of my research that a lot of human beings were born on the Earth, or maybe somebody was pregnant and taken to the moon and born on the moon, but a lot of humans were moved to the moon to use for slavery. But, the moon's got different zones. Some are benevolent, some are not, but they don't bother each other. But through some of the Raw Speak shows, remember, Chris, there was people on the moon that went to work on the moon every day and came back home to Earth. And there's different ways of traveling by locating secret tunnels, secret travel way technologies. So tell us more about the beings, the benevolent beings on the moon that want to help Earth, that apparently come and have human bodies and that are on the Earth helping. Are they higher vibration? They help humans and they just look like regular humans on the street? Just interested more in that a little bit.
There are many species that inhabit the moon who own what you humans call a pie slice of the moon. One of the more benevolent species would be the ones you have encountered on this show before that have identified themselves as what you call cavemen. They exist in the lower portion of the moon bell on the interior. They have their own section of the moon. The one being you know of as Fortus is actually one of these particular beings. They help bring about this change. Now, there are other species that have gathered there that could care less about the safety of Earth, but there are several that do live there and do come down to Earth that do care, such as Fortus's people and the beings you know of as the Anakim or Bigfoot. They too come and go from the moon ship from time to time to visit their distant cousins that live up there on the moon. Now, there are other pockets of them that exist on the planet's surface. There are also other species that this one is unaware of that inhabit the moon, that not only live there, but they travel into the illusion from time to time to see what they can do to aid in the effort to bring about this so-called event. But in the instance of, say, spirit guides, there are beings that are aligned with other moons that are unseen by your human eyes, that exist within the depths of the multiverse. Your planet, in essence, has several moons that exist in several different versions of itself within the multiverse. There are beings that live and exist on these different moons, that exist in different parallel universes, one of which has an atmosphere. There are a closely related race of Pleiadian and, as you would say from your Norse history, Asgardian ancestry existing on one of those moons. You would consider this density 12th density, but in fact it is also a parallel universe, though densities and dimensions are totally different things, or as you humans would say, apples and oranges. This particular moon is something of a mystery to a lot of beings within your universal paradigm. A lot of different species go there in, as you say, remembrance of times past and remember of things that have yet to come. Therefore, they exist in the present moment within that other moon construct. This one has seen it, and it has appeared to him as a graveyard or set of mausoleums. This is from his visual perspective and perception point. This is actually a record book of all energies that intersect that particular dimensional layer. There's a particular being that guards this very place. He is what you know of as Viking, but he is also of a monk-type mentality. Though he may appear as a monk, he is not to be, as you humans would say, trifled with. He is a guardian of that particular archive and will protect it to the end, as he would say. There is another being there with him that exists to come to your Earth from time to time to bring the message of peace and prosperity. The two names of these beings are Luther and Lucas. These particular brothers have actually come to Earth together in many different time frames in your world's history. They've even gone into the Agarthan network to interact with the Council of 17. These two particular beings are as physical as you are. They have a lineage that stretches back many, many eons. They have been within that bubble of theirs for many eons and will be there many eons to come. That version of your moon will eventually coexist completely with your moon, even though it is a construct, and will combine technological prowess and scientific prowess along with spiritual know-how, as you humans would say, to be able to also amplify that wave that was aforementioned to go out into space. You see, the moon isn't necessarily even as it appears as a space station. It is also a spheroid construct helped to create by which the Ra group had to do with. It is also one of their spheres that shields from these energy waves. It is merely visible and also been rendered visible by centuries of being bombarded by energies. They wanted to make sure it looked like a natural construct, but other species took it over in time and hollowed it out. Also, beings used to live within that construct when it was a natural planetoid in the very spot that it now sits, also in the spot that it now used to sit within your Sirius star cluster. But I digress. The beings you know of as the rock people originally came from there. This is why they were hibernating for so very long. But I can honestly say this. Your moon, though seemingly ominous because of the waves of the Arconian binary network that come off of it, will ultimately forge the way to bringing about the very wave that it will amplify to stave off a more dangerous wave coming into your system. This was the fail-safe, as it were. The negativity that the beings put there, they thought were very oppressive. They thought they were brilliant at the time. However, they didn't realize in their arrogance they would bring about the brilliance of the so-called event. By oppressing the population, they would spring forward and bring about the very event that would balance the rest of the universe. Thank you.
Great. No worries. No worries. I just want to say no worries. Great. And I was going to say, let's give the audience listening a chance to ask the question and comment. Come on in, hon.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So with the moon being changing or being taken over and all that, our whole Earth astrology has moon and the sun in it. What is the impact of astrology, current and the future, considering that the moon isn't a natural thing anymore?
This is a very interesting question. Some of the answers that I will give may shock some of you on this program, but since the question has been asked, I am inclined to answer it. Some of the astrology constructs that you are now used to are a fallacy, because, not to mention that they were originally valid, but only when the system you now inhabit was in its original place and before any of the mechanical constructs were put in place. All planetoids have some artificial construct on them within your current time continuum. The meaningfulness of your astrology was rigged after a period of time. This has gone on for centuries now, but what these bad guys do not yet realize is this. Their tampering with the natural order has brought about the very untampered or unchained energy from the earth that they were not expecting, which was said previously. But there are certain astrology constructs that are indeed false, but only within the paradigm of considering that the planets are merely a mechanical construct. This is only a half-truth, since the cabal meddling and the aligning of the planets a new astrology has now taken its place, and this new energy can come about. Follow the planetary alignments, but also discern whether or not it is a false meddling or if it is a natural movement. Your guides, along with your intuition, will be able to tell you that of which is true. But the mechanical constructs you call artificial intelligences are and have been taken over by good forces unbeknownst to that of the Cabal. So therefore, the original alignment plan that the Cabal had in mind will therefore be disintegrated over a period of time. The planetoids you know of also fall into the same construct of the moon. It was not like that at first, but they also are these very spheres that regulate the energy coming into the system. These planets are beginning to become more alive, though they have their own intelligences, some of which were AI to start with. But in the distant future, in the time frame of the Council of Saturn, they will become completely their own. This is where some of your real astrology stems from. Any of the knowledge that you've obtained of Mercury going retrograde, for instance, or moon and sun alignments, all exist within a completely different time continuum than you humans are used to. These alignments are working in reverse of what previously is thought. Say you look out into space and you see what happened millions of years ago in distant space because of the time differential. This also is at play with beings in the distant future, dealing with your own time frame. See, they have already gone through this particular wave, and this energy that came from this wave was used to completely make all of the planets whole, very much like your planet Maldek once was. This is also a template that will be mirrored across the system. This is where the true astrology lies, in and when all the planets become fully and completely naturally self-sustaining. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very interesting.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that was listening that has a clarification or question of any of the things that were in the show tonight?
Hi, this is Sunny. What
Hi,
came
Sunny.
to my hi? Were you saying that the planets becoming artificial and the moon becoming artificial is the work of the Cabal and the dark forces?
Only in part, but in their arrogance, they created something, a template by which the light could balance its way in. The original artificial intelligence constructs that inhabited all of your planets in your system was originally let in by the Cabal forces. However, the original planets were constructed by the beings you know of as the Anunnaki and the ones you know of as the Sirian star beings. They knew one day the planets would become fully self-sustaining, very much like your Earth is and has become. Mars was once like this as well. But the comet in years and centuries past rendered the planet's surface uninhabitable. This will change in the centuries to come, when in fact the astrology, as I have said, applies to the future. But the darkness that helped turn these planets into artificial constructs was indeed brought in by your earthly Cabal.
Well, thanks. How will we know the true astrology when it comes in? Does it have anything to do with what Cynthia's been telling us about on these shows, or is it going to be something even more than that, something even newer than
that?
Yes.
That's what I thought too. And to add to that, but we know Cynthia's got lots of intuition, and I believe she's guided by intuition. I don't know, but let's ask the Galactics. Are we on the right path, bringing that in, because it does help us, grow in who we really are. I mean, yeah.
Yes, of course, dear Elizabeth. The astrology that is mentioned has its basis in truth. However, the celestial movements that are seen on your as you say, internet and news are false, but the energies of which are spoken of aligning to different planets are from that future time frame on which the Council of Saturn inhabits. You see, they are also in control of delegating this energy back through the course of your time. The rivers of time that you perceive yourselves to be in are what control this astrology. So the astrology that is spoken of is actually accurate within the degree of it being within a certain paradigm's energy. Now, in your own current time continuum, then it is false. But to be fair, the intuition that you have, dear Cynthia, is picking up on the truest astrology that is in the future along with the Council of Saturn. They are the ones delegating this information to you on an intuitive level. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That
thank you,
feels
Galactics, all of you. Yeah, it feels great. Thank you. I want to thank all the Galactics that came in tonight. You know, the 3 words I can sum up all your information in all what you shared with us tonight. Great. No worries. Be happy. Go with the flow. Ride the waves. Don't drown in them. Just bring all your emotions in and love them. Yeah. Anybody else there, Chris? Or you shared a lot tonight. You got to be a worn out guy.
Now Trelindis and Trueform are backing off. They wanted to make sure that that was all said this evening. That was in a vibration that was fairly strong. Even though the Council of Saturn did not speak tonight, I could feel them kind of watching in the background. They were making sure that this information was brought through as accurately as possible.
Beautiful.
And also within the safe zone, I'm seeing all of these all these sentries that are walking around out here. They've been kind of listening to the whole thing go on, even though some of them are patrolling. They're watching. They're kind of like if somebody has their back turned and they're kind of glancing back a little bit as they're walking. Mm-hmm. That's how some of them are. So a couple of them are sitting actually on the rocks out here, but and then they're all kind of standing up. Some of them are clapping. Some of them are giving thumbs up, like there was just a performance given. That's kind of how they're viewing it, like some kind of theater performance or play or something has just been done. So that's how they're all reacting right now. It looks like they're all standing up and kind of going back to their posts, and I can see the rest of the Galactics are clearing out now.
And remember, everybody, there was a significant. They said give the cost to them and ask, or focus and ask for your amethyst to protect your land that you live on. So that's what I took out of that. Chris, what about you? Yeah. Oh, yeah, the whole concept of delegation works fantastic. You just have to remember to do it 50-50, like what you were mentioning one time, Cynthia, when the angelic forms told you to make music, and then you delegated the money portion to them, and then they followed through. That means that don't ask them to do 100% of it. You've got to split it 50-50, and for doing your part is doing the making the ceremony portion, yes, and making efforts to actually follow through. Then if they see you're following through, and you have the intent to follow through, then they step in with the financial portion of it. Meaning that ask for the amethyst, they'll find them somehow. Maybe they'll appear in your life, and then you do follow through and do the ceremony, and they can see your heart's intent if you're serious or not beforehand. I guess that's what you said, Chris. Is right? Oh, yeah. If you, this is what a Bendigoth likes to say quite often. He says, ask for an official request. That's the phrase he likes to use a lot. So I would say if you want to follow this ceremony with that Philippon spoke of, I would say make an official request of whoever it is you pray to. I'm not saying pick any group. Just make sure they're of the highest good, and that's good enough. Absolutely. And tonight's show, by the way, is 472. If you want to listen to it on the recorded line, you can do that as soon as we hang up. And the recorded line is 715-641-3813. I think I have that right. And the PIN 883267#, reference number 472#. Please share all the Diamond shows on both YouTube channels. Those are on the right-hand side of the blog. please share them as you listen. Share them to your friends. This is the time. The energy is ripe. So help in energy and kind with that, please. And look forward to more Diamond shows. And Monday through Thursday, come and grow with us. Be your supernatural, natural self. And have friends along the way, our galactic brothers and sisters, aspects of ourselves. We are multidimensional beings. Hard to get your mind around, huh? But that's okay. Just go with the flow. Little by little, precept upon precept, every day, every minute. And have fun. You can do things and conquer your fears as you're having fun, like I found out at the fair. Like Candy found out, like Chris found out in our 3 stories earlier. So next week, Chris will be. You're back next week, right, Chris?
Actually, it'll be the week after that, and then the next week after that. Yeah, the week after this next one, and then I'll be there for 2 weeks after. So. Yeah,
3 weeks in August. 3 weeks in August, right? Yeah, 3 Mondays in August. All right, so keep shining, you diamonds. I love you all. Thanks, Chris and Cynthia, Marianne, Mary, all listeners. Pass it on to YouTube and everywhere else. Galactics, pass it on up there, down there, around here, right beside us. We love you all. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Y'all.
Are you looking for healing or a change in your life to help you enjoy it more fully? You might benefit from a galactic energy reading and clearing from Chris Jacobs. Chris will work with you on a soul level to clear unseen negative influences, implants, programs, contracts, and energetic blocks. Chris Jacobs is a gifted energy healer. Contact him today at ChristopherStephenJacobs@gmail.com.